This is mid-November already, and it is very nice day in Colorado. No clouds. I think it's very blue sky and a very nice temperature, about 70 degrees probably. And so I came out to shoot this video. I think I like to talk about my this particular crazy uh, enthusiasm of reading Keigo Higashino. I started to read no, like a month ago or so, and started to read because he was one of the most popular crime mystery writer in Japan, and uh, I kept hearing about him, and okay, I like to read that because reading here and there, Octagon prize winner uh, and so forth, I wasn't that impressed with those writers of contemporary Japan. And I like to find somebody besides Haruki Murakami. I read most of the Haruki Murakami's books, and I'm waiting for his new book, which was published this year in Japan, but not translation. Is not available. And, the book is called City and its Uncertain War. And so I like to read that. I have been trying to find out if I could get hold of Japanese book, printed book of this, but I couldn't, so far, I couldn't find any copies available here. And I think I would say Metro Denver area. And so I was kind of a little bit disappointed because the last time I read the Japanese version of most recent Haruki Murakami's book is Killing Commander Tore. I could find that Japanese copy at Denver library, public library, I would say. So I read that. I was so pleased that I could do that. But I have to wait for this new book until the translation will come out, probably next year or something. I don't know when that's gonna be. So meantime, I like to find somebody Japanese. Why Japanese? It's because I think I still feel that whenever I read those books, the Japanese authors, I get this very nostalgic, comfortable feeling about them. Even the today's authors, they are completely different. You know, probably mindset when I was growing up, like 1960s and 70s. Uh, it was that was my Japan there, and I felt, uh, I like to go back there. You know, this is just because I was born there and feel nostalgic about it. So I have been looking for Japanese authors for a long time, and some of the classic authors like Tanizaki, Mishima, Kawabata. Uh, I don't like that much. I think I like Soseki, uh, Natsume, and Ogai Mori more or less, but I don't like the other writers. Kenzaburo Oe, I haven't read about him. I think if I read it, maybe I will rethink about it. But most of the time, this feeling of Japanese uh, sentiment of some subjects really kind of the thing that makes me a little bit uncomfortable, I think makes me worries or makes me scary, maybe something like that. I don't like those feeling that I get. So I think this is like a seventh book, uh, Under the Midnight Sun. I started to read, but it's a big book, a 500, 600 pages book. I think this was Ali Keigo Higashino's serialized book there. And but when I started to read, it started to bothers me about depictions of the cultures, probably 1990s culture, 1980s, 1990s culture, Japanese culture, which has a lots of school uh, violence happening at the time, and people's attitude toward the society wasn't that, I wouldn't say wholesome or anything. So I don't like it. Even though I wasn't living there at that time, I felt like I don't like that kind of violent depictions of a school and disrespect to the elderly and so forth. So I decided not to get into that area. But because one by one, I started to read Keigo Higashino's book. Most of them, I really liked it. I think he had a tremendous range of subject matters uh, dealing with the common people and I would say the very, very affluent part of the Japanese people, or not so affluent, very, very common uh, people's lives in Tokyo mostly, and I really liked it. All of them I read, like 5 or 6 books, but this one particularly, Under the Midnight Sun, has too much of those themes that I really don't care for, and I really feel uh, not so much uh, drawn into, because it's societies, the cultures that I really, really don't feel that I'm a part of it, those things. Of course, there's a lot of Japanese people who feel the same way, but this particular book has a very highly rated, and but depiction is very, I don't know, more or less like uncomfortable to read, scary maybe, and don't like that. So I kind of gave up. I have another uh, book, crime mystery book that I reserved, and I was hoping that maybe that's gonna be the last books of Keigo Higashino's, and I had to move on to the other authors. So, yeah, overall, I think his books is very good. I think very intellectual and very captivating depictions of human life, and so I really like that. And so I'm gonna see those 2 books uh, come into the library, I would say. But yeah, so it's interesting that I got so captivated by his book, and I started to read one by one, and I couldn't get out of it. And that particular thing itself is interesting, that I could keep on reading without paying attention that much for any other stuff that I was doing. And so it is very interesting to 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 observe myself, to get into this particular reading, frenzy reading, uh, you know, things. So I'm glad that I could do that. And but once you did it, you finished, and you have to move on to something else. And that's also interesting because I couldn't keep the passion for one author's if that's not you know that's not the greatest. I think I would rather move on to the other authors. Keigo Higashino's book is more or less like I would say his sentiment is very, very Japanese. That means it's not Western, it's not American, it's not like European. I would say it's very dark sometimes, and very uncomfortable nature of the human life was depicted, and that caused me a little bit. Uh, I don't know. I rather not to read him, and so that's I realized. So some of the crime mystery novels is very bright and more or less like a comfortable side to read, but some of them are kind of uh, it's dark, too dark for me, and it's like very bloody also, and also depicting the most of depicting the human psychology of the worst kind, and that's also uh, in his book, like some people who commit the crime is like that. Some crime perpetrator, very, very egregious, I would say, type of people in which I don't necessarily enjoy. Some type of people are more or less easier because their crime is like a necessary, or the crime is like by the accident, uh, or the innocent crime, and so that's I like. And regardless, I would continuously explore a little bit more. And I don't know, after Keigo Higashino, I would say who is going to be the, the authors. I wanted to read like James Joyce, for example. Yeah, probably I go back to James Joyce because when I read him, I really liked his short story, like Dubliners, and I really liked his sentiment of toward his homeland, Ireland. Very, very heartfelt and very affectionate, I would say, but at the same time depicting their people's psychology uh, and uncomfortable uh, feeling of being in the Ireland forever, but who wants to get out from Ireland, and so forth. So I like that. Maybe I go back to James Joyce, probably. Yeah, yeah. It is such a nice day today, and yeah, I like to stay here forever in this particular